Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So, I'm going to start something new, a new series here of some videos, and I thought it's appropriate that we're going to start off by visiting my buddy Dale Derry here, because I'm actually copying.
Yes, you are.
One of his video formats. We've been talking about that because he's probably going to be accused of copying me on something coming up too.
Whether very soon.
But I'm going to start a series of videos. Actually, I'm on my way up to the Arnfest event right now, and I've got several stops on the way up to some places I'm going to be visiting. And I said, you know what? We're going to do some shop tours.
Yes.
And I thought Dale would be a good place, and I actually saw this on his channel. So if you don't know Dale Derry, you need to be looking at his channel. So tell me about your YouTube channel.
So I've got a YouTube channel called Metal Tips and Tricks, and it's really designed more around tips and tricks of metalworking. I try to take metalworking and simplify it. There's so many complicated ways to do something. I try to find actually the simplest way to do it that people can do in their normal shop. And there's, what I want to say, there's a lot of tooling you can buy in the machine shop, and most of it you'll never use. So I try to show you how to never need to buy like a rotary table. Even though I own one, I don't use it very much because it's too much work, and there are ways to work around the rotary table. I just kind of do whatever projects come in here, and I videotape it and I show it to you guys to see if you like it, and that's kind of what my channel's about.
Good deal. Go check out Metal Tips and Tricks. I can tell you that half the challenge of being a machinist is figuring out how to get a job done with what you have. And that's a lot of what Dale does. He shows you how to get along, get stuff done, maybe not go buy a tool just because you need it for a job, but hey, how can we get around this? How can we do it differently? And those are excellent skills to have and something everybody needs to know. So go check out Metal Tips and Tricks. But we're here today, and if you watch this channel, I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of this, although you may get to see some things
I may bring out some secret things that people have never seen on my channel.
There you go. So we're going to do a quick shop tour around here and just kind of let you see what's going on in Dale's shop here outside the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Let's go.
Let's do it. So this is your lathe.
Well, this is, one of those.
One of your lathes.
I've got 4 lathes. One of them isn't working, but this is really, I'd consider it my workhorse. I love this thing. It's a Clausing 15-inch lathe. I think it's probably about 4.5 feet between centers, maybe a little bigger than that. It's very well tooled I have to back that up. I bought this on Craigslist. It sat on Craigslist for 5 days. And I figured it had already been gone, and the guy had some other items. So what I ended up doing is called him to buy these other items, and I show up and the lathe's sitting there. And I go, well, you haven't sold the lathe? He goes, no. I said, $750, is that what the ad said? He goes, yeah. I said, well, let me call my wife. And I'm on the phone waiting for my wife to answer. And I went, oh, it doesn't matter. She's just going to say yes anyway.
There you go.
And it was just one of those great deals. But what was funny, so it came with 2 chucks, came with the tool post, or the quick change tool post, but nothing else. He sold me all that separately.
Okay.
Which is, so what? I spent another $300 on other tooling.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just one of those fun deals. And this is really a workhorse. It's a 7.5 horse motor. And when I get cutting on this, there are times when you have a big chunk of metal, Keith, and you got to turn it down. And I can make a 7-inch cut off the radius, or a half-inch cut off the radius. So I'm taking a full 1 inch off the diameter. Yeah. And you know how much of a time saver that is.
Absolutely.
And this thing doesn't even say a thing. It just takes it, eats it, and I'm done with the project. The biggest problem is the heat buildup.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastic machine, great transmission, a great range of speeds, easy to see, very logical. You don't have to add up A and B and C and figure out where they are.
Yeah.
You just turn the knobs.
That's a big improvement of mine. I've got several levers you got to put in combination to get.
Yeah, and you have to read the little chart. And they actually still make this. You can get this very similar transmission off of one on, I think it's Jet or Grizzly has it. I forget who bought this. But this lathe is known under 3 different names. Clausing is one of them. Oh, of course, I'm not going to remember the other ones. But if you want to look up information for it, you don't look under Clausing. You have to look up under this other name.
I got you.
And if I could remember it, but we'll figure that out another time.
Okay.
But just a fantastic workhorse. It does everything I could ever need. I've never reached past its capacity.
Cool.
And that's the right size for a lathe.
This is a nice size machine. What did you say, 16 inch or?
15 inch. 15 inch.
I mean, that's a good size for a lathe. I like something kind of between 12, 16 inches, somewhere in there. I mean, it's not too big to do small work, but yet it's still big enough to do some bigger work. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you can only have one lathe in the shop, man, that'd be terrible, wouldn't it? You only have one lathe in the shop.
It's a terrible thing to have.
A nice size machine to have.
Well, and what's interesting is the footprint on this lathe really isn't much more than that smaller lathe.
Yeah.
When you really look at it, when you put it in there,
Yeah.
you know, maybe another 1.5 feet longer, but in the whole scheme of it, for the capacity, you know. But there is one of the disadvantages is it is 3-phase. That is its biggest disadvantage because to run a 3-phase motor.
You know, the bigger machines, you're going to run into that.
Yeah.
Again, you can get around that. Rotary phase converter, variable frequency drives. There's
Yeah.
lots of opportunities to get.
Well,
you don't have 3-phase in your shop.
Well, yeah, and I've got 3-phase here, and a rotary phase converter is a cheaper way to go than it is to go with a VFD, a variable frequency drive, because I looked at doing a variable frequency drive on this, and it's like, well, it's a lot more than what I paid for the whole lathe. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think I'd rather set up a bike and pedal it.
They made those too.
Yes, but not 7.5 horses. So next to the closing lathe is, of course, all the tooling for it. And it's just nice to be able to pull out, have my tool holders ready to go, and find things. Because a lot of times we spend time, as you know, Keith, finding tools or tooling. And to just have it organized here. The challenges is some of the stuff is heavy. We got some A-bomb size cones back here. I actually bought this one back here. I think that one will go up to 10 inches. I bought it just, well, someday I'm going to do a whole joke against Adam Booth, but shh, don't tell him, guys. Great place because I can just have my chucks right here, pick them up, put them on the lathe. Also, I have J2 collets for this machine. Down here is, you know, I only need, you think about it, if you have 3 chucks, you only have to put 2 of them away. So I only have a place for 2 chucks. This here is also the 2J collet chuck. And if I'm switching them around, I just put them around and, well, you guys understand how that all works out. So I don't have 3 places, just 2. But great to have everything I need for this machine right next to it. So now we're at the Enco 13x40 lathe. Now, this lathe also, Keith Rucker, or not Keith Rucker, I get you guys mixed up, Keith and Keith. The other Keith.
Keith Fenner.
Keith Fenner is actually rebuilding almost this identical lathe right now. This one here is an Enco, his is made by somebody else, but I see him take it apart. It's virtually the exact same machine. The only big difference is the switch, the electronics on mine are on this faceplate, his is vertical here. Great basic lathe. Really, I've been doing a lot more work on this lathe lately. I like the height that it's at. It's actually set up more accurately than the other one. The closing has to be completely rebuilt. Even though it works really, really well, it's not doing the precise work that I'd like to, but this one here has definitely been my workhorse the last few months. Down below in the drawers, I've got this cabinet set up to where all the tooling for this machine is with this machine. So here we are at just basic milling machine. This is actually another Enco. I'm not an Enco rep, just to let you guys know. It's just kind of what happens. I'll go through a whole series of tools that just happen to be Enco all of a sudden. What makes this milling machine, I think, a lot more rare than most is the head on it, or the motor is actually is a 2-speed motor, so I have a high and a low. So with the transmission built into this, I actually get double the speed. And I got to say that's a great benefit. This one right now, I'm not running on 3-phase power. I'm actually running it on a, what do they call these? A static phase converter. The only reason I'm running on a static phase converter is I just never switched it over. I'd actually like to put it on a VFD, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Just a nice basic machine, also unique. A lot of people talk to me about or ask me questions about this collar back here. This is a riser block. It's 7 inches. To me, it's one of the great advantages because I'm always able to stand at this machine straight up. I'm never having to bend over to work on it. Seems to be at the right size. I've never had it where the collar was too tall and caused me problems. I don't know how many times I've even milled off the top of the machine, off the top of the table. I always have a vise on it, so it's just the advantage to be able to stand up. I wish I could buy, have multiple machines at different heights, but, well, that's not going to happen, at least not in this shop. Next to the Enco on the right-hand side, you'll see in the shop, is this cabinet, and I've got another one for the other lathe. This is where all the tooling for the milling machine is, because I like to have all the tooling in one area. Down here, kind of a mess, but you come into here and you'll find just cool tooling that, well, I haven't done videos with, and some of it you end up buying it because it's just cool. Keith, you know what that's about?
Never happened.
Buying tools just because it's cool?
Never happened.
But it's just nice to have everything in one area. I have clamping in this one. Sometimes the drawers don't fit well because they're taking on a lot of extra weight. This one is set up with just having the collets right next to your machine. I also like to, a personal preference is, I like to have my collets closed in so they don't collect a bunch of dust on them. There's drill bits in here, cutters that I use quite often. No, it's set up in the mill. There's a quick change tool holder, very nice. Different types of fly cutters, cut-off wheels. So this is really dedicated just to that milling machine, and of course is in nice direction. Now, I will say I know some people are going to make comments that the door is on the wrong side. What's nice about having the door on this side is when the chips are flying, they're not flying inside this cabinet. But the real truth, the reason the door opens this way is because I'm too lazy to flip it around. But we'll stick to the other excuse that keeps chips out of the drawers.
For me, one of the interesting things about visiting other people's shops is to look at their storage solutions, because that seems to always be the thing. You accumulate, you buy a milling machine, and that's just the first thing you buy. Then you have to buy all the stuff you need to use the milling machine, all the tooling, all the vices, all the fixtures, all the little different things, and having a good place to store that, to me, is really what makes a good shop very handy. And I always like seeing how other people solve their storage solutions.
Well, and somebody gave me these cabinets, Jeff, which you know Jeff. Mm-hmm. He gave, actually, it wasn't Jeff that gave them to me, it was his friend Mike. If I don't say Mike, well, there's a family feud going on there. Jeff originally got the cabinets, gave them to Mike, and then Mike gave them to me.
There you go.
And sometimes storage is just based on what you're given to or what you find. There is no easy solution for any of this stuff.
You can spend as much money on your storage as you do on your machines.
Oh yeah, machines are cheap. Tooling is expensive.
Yep.
So here we are at a very kind of a unique turret lathe. This is a Hardinge. I forget what model number it is, but they call it a split bed because the inside it's a split, where the newer ones, I should say, have a V-way, or not a V-way, but a reverse dovetail.
Yeah.
And what makes this unique is my brother had it out in the field, and every part of it was frozen solid. Not a thing made it, but the difference between a cheap machine and a quality machine is all this freed up easily, and it was actually just WD-40 on it for a couple days, and everything broke free. The steel in this is so hard and so amazing that I can't find any serious wear. There's of course wear in here, but everywhere else it's fantastic.
Yeah.
This is also driven on a DC motor.
Okay.
Out of a treadmill.
Okay.
So I never have completely finished it up, but where these two levers up here are set up for forward, reverse, and brake. And then this is your variable speed.
Okay.
So this actually has the pot wired to it for the variable speed. Gotcha. So on each operation, as you know, you have to change the speed, whether you're drilling or whatever. And they're just kind of a fun machine. The challenge with this one is I do a lot of little knobs like this, and that's about all it's good for is these small knobs.
Yeah.
It's not big enough to do anything large, and like you and I are both talking, we'd like to get a bigger one someday.
Yeah.
But the bigger ones are weighing in starting at 6,000 pounds. This one here starts at probably about 1,200 pounds. But it's kind of fun to have a quality machine like this. I wish I could use it more than what I actually do, and it might be up for sale.
if somebody's curious. It is a fantastic machine, and it has been completely gone through. So, but if you are curious, leave a note and we'll figure something out.
So yeah, turret lathe was actually the machine that I cut my teeth on when I
Really?
started working in a machine shop. First machine I ever learned how to run was a turret lathe. It was a bigger one than this, but same thing. But these are cool because they're really set up for doing production work. So you would set it up to do a job, and you would basically, you know, the reason they call it turret was this end down here. You come in here and
We got to slap it a little more.
Okay.
Let's see if we can. There we go.
Yeah.
Got to get the feel
You
for
can
it.
put like 6 different cutters here on the end or whatever, and just go through, and that whole turret just switches around. So you can do multiple operations. You can set these up, and you can actually make very quick work out of a production job instead of having to change tooling and everything.
Yeah, it's
between operations.
It's a pre-CNC, but in a lot of ways they're actually more valuable in CNC, because if you're doing a small run of, let's say, 50 items, I can have this set up and have my parts cut before you could have it programmed on a CNC.
Yeah.
You know, just your testing through the CNC will take longer than me.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's the advantage that I'm actually surprised there's not more shops still running them for short runs.
Yeah. Well, back in the late 80s, we had about 6 of these in our shop. We didn't have any CNC machines, and anyway, we did a lot of work on the turret lathe.
Yeah, they're amazing. So someday we'll buy a matching set.
There you go. So quite honestly, this is something that I really like, because you got this nice workbench area with all this storage over here. Storage, again, is so important in a shop, and I really like how you got this set up.
Well, and so all the stuff in here is measuring devices or tools that are shared between all the machines in the shop, and they're set up in a central area. This is really, and we were talking about this earlier, this is really my only flat, true surface in the shop, because what I've found out is if I have a tool board behind something, this is just a personal preference, guys, don't get upset, but if I have a tool board, instead of putting a tool back on, I put it down. So I have no tool boards. It forces me to only have this area. I have to keep it semi-clean. But in here is, most of my metrology stuff is on the right-hand side. You know, squares, and it just kind of, they're sort of family together, indicators in here. And I got to remember now, I'm recording this for a good reason, because if anything's missing, there's going to be proof when it, you know, left my shop. You know, different types of parallels. Over here I've got files are set up in here. This side here is taps, sockets, other things. Most of this over here is wrenches, hammers. We will not open the hammer drawer. I would be embarrassed after seeing Tom Lipton.
Yeah.
And then behind you is nuts and bolts. Actually, there is one thing here for. So here is one of my favorite drawers in the whole shop. I know it's not cool, it's just nuts and bolts. But to be able to just have a bin of all sizes in your shop full-time is a pleasure, because I used to have coffee cans of nuts and bolts, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. I end up going to my farm supply place, and I just buy nuts and bolts by the pound. And before I go there, usually what I do is I just photograph this drawer, and I just go to the farm supply place and I fill up my supply. But it's been such a luxury to not have to make things work. Just come in here, I need a bunch of whatever, what is that, 3/8 by 1¼ inch, done. Have all I need. So this is strange, with all these cool things in all these drawers, this is the one I'm the most proud of. Well,
In the closet.
we are in the closet. I have to think, I think this is one of the coolest rooms I own in the shop. Well, there's actually only 3 rooms, but this one definitely stands out because it's just so unique to have just a full-time grinding room. One just set up for sharpening. This one here is the larger KO Lee, set up to sharpen anything that you can imagine. This one here, small KO Lee, this one's going to be set up just for drill bits and custom flutes. Very unique processes just for this side here. But I also use my Drill Doctor probably, I would say 90% of the time for sharpening drill bits. Great tool. Underneath, of course, is the different storage for the different machines. This one here, I don't know if we can, more of the tooling. And all the tooling in this is shared between all the machines here.
Can't really see it, but you got a surface grinder back on this side.
But you can see more storage, I think. Let's see. Oh, we're just going to tease you guys. So there's a side door. It opens on this on the cabinet for this that has all my grinding stones in it. So very, very nice. Great to have the machines in one area. And like I've been wanting to put a vacuum cleaner system in here. I've got it, but since I'm going to be moving, I decided to put that on the back burner.
Gotcha. Cool. Nice to have a dedicated room to do your grinding. You don't want to get your grinding dust over on your precision machines in the machine shop.
Well, and the great thing is because it's so contained, it's easy to clean this room.
Yes.
When I get going, I mean, it's very clean because it's easy to keep clean.
Sure.
And I design things, this room was designed to keep clean.
Yeah.
And you know how grinding dust, it just
It goes everywhere.
It leaks into every place in your shop, so.
Very cool. So if you watch Dale's channel much, this is the side you don't get to see very often.
It's the secret side.
Secret side.
It's a secret society. You have to know the handshake. It took him 20 minutes, but you caught the handshake, but we can't even show it on tape.
No, we can't show it on tape. I just got lucky and found the right combination.
So because of that, you get to see this side of the shop. This side is set up for fabrication, welding, sheet metal work, you know, the bigger projects. Now, I have to say it's been overcome with machinery lately.
Yeah.
You know, when a good deal comes up, guys, you just got to pull out the wallet and buy it. Well, I've got some sheet metal projects where I needed a finger brake. I bought a finger brake that needed to be rebuilt, and it's sitting back there in my traditional light yellow color. And I'm just about ready to finish up. I go onto Craigslist, and this guy had a larger one for sale, a nicer one for sale, and he had all these other sheet metal tools, so I bought them. Well, then I sold one of them off, and the guy that bought from me, it was a little what I was selling was a Pexto bead roller, hand bead roller. Well, he had a finger brake that was all pneumatically driven, and I have a video on that. Kind of a scary machine, and well, I had to buy that, so now all of a sudden I've got 3 brakes here. So one I know is sold, another one back there which I haven't even brought out yet is going up for sale, and I think it's also a Pexto. So there's some interesting things, but a lot of this stuff in the next few weeks will probably be gone. So I can actually reclaim some square footage, and I know whenever I get, it's interesting, I don't know, does this happen to you when you have an empty spot in your floor? Do you have to go buy another machine?
You have to, yeah. Just magically something appears.
It's a Georgia state law.
It is.
I think so. So over here is a Bridgeport milling machine. I've got 2 milling machines. This one here is really being set up. This is going to become my working milling machine, but I'm going to do an entire video on scraping this in and aligning it for you guys. Actually, it's not just one video, it's going to be quite an extensive video. But as we grow in as machinists, we become better. And I've become better than my Enco milling machine. It's not bragging, it's just saying that my Enco's worn out and I'm not starting to see its weaknesses. So this one here, when it gets scraped in, will be the Primo machine. It'll have servo motors and all 3 axes. It'll of course have a full DRO. So this will be someday that dream machine that you'll always wanted. I'm just thinking it's going to be a lot of work. What do you think?
Probably so. And just to be fair here, I know you guys are saying that's not a Bridgeport, that's a Comet. It's got a Bridgeport base for it.
Thank you.
The head is a Comet, but
yeah, because
it's a clone.
Well, and I thought about scraping in the Enco.
Yeah.
And I went, you know, by the time I scrape that in, it's not as good a cast as
It's going to be a much better machine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided that I went shopping for this. Ended up developing a really great friend, my friend Randy, which, if you guys remember a video a few weeks back where I showed how to turn steel by hand on the metal lathe, well, Randy was the guy doing that. And it's just a fantastic video. But he and I have become friends, but I ended up buying this from him. And, well, like I say, when he and I get into a room and negotiate, it's a storm. It's fun. Back here, it's kind of hard to see. There is a 20-inch metal cutting bandsaw. It has a hydraulic system on it to drive the table. It has an air compressor on it. It has a cooling system. It has a blade welder. And I can't wait to get it running.
Yeah, and it's in pieces right now.
It's in, well, I had to put it, so it's in pieces for several reasons. One, a lot of the pieces were off it when I bought it.
Okay.
But when we loaded it on the trailer, we loaded it on so the C was forward.
Right.
And what I was going to do is come in with an engine hoist, just lift it up under here and take it off. Well, it's past the lifting capacity of my other machine, so I had to take it all apart to lighten it up.
Gotcha.
To where we could rotate it.
In there, take the machine apart so you can load it.
Yes. And then back here is welders. I just picked up 2 Lincoln welders, so these other ones have been sold off. You guys have seen little snippets of welders originally years and years ago from here, or I shouldn't say years ago, year and a half ago. Trying to get this area down smaller, trying to get more square footage.
So we're over here at the surface plate.
You know, and I got to say, so you just did a video on how to set up a surface plate, get it set up on 3 points. I'm watching this video, I got to say, I almost threw my coffee at the screen. Because 3 days before watching your video, I did almost identical shot of how to set up a surface plate on 3 points. Now, mine is a bigger surface plate. Mine is 3 foot by 4 foot, and I haven't finished it. So the series I'm going to do is a little bit bigger than yours, because I'm going to go through setting up mathematically and talking about Ames points and Bissell points, which a lot of people, you know, I never even knew what those were until about 3 months ago.
Okay.
So that's going to be fun to talk about. And then I'm going to box this in, put a set of drawers in it, and there's going to be a whole video on that. So it's not quite a copy of yours, but conceptually it is identical.
It's funny because the same thing has happened to me. I've gone out and I was telling you this earlier, about a year or so ago, I went out and shot a whole video on doing something in the machine shop and got all my video cut, and then I went inside the house, started editing, and pulled up one of Adam's Booth's videos, and he covered everything I was going to say that exact same week. I'm like, dang it. There's only so much content, so no, you're not copying me. So if you watch Dale's videos, you're over on his channel, don't call him a copycat.
Thank you.
If anything, I'm copying him by doing a shop tour series.
Shop tours,
yes.
yes.
He actually did a series of shop tours, so
yes.
We're all friends here.
Yes, no, we definitely are.
Well, very good. Well, Dale, I appreciate taking some time to kind of show us around. I appreciate the opportunity to get to come and visit.
Thank you.
I've met Dale multiple times. I guess
Yeah.
I've met him twice out at Stan's,
Yeah.
Zukowski's at the Bar
Bar
Z
Z.
Bash. He actually came down and down to the museum one Saturday when I
Yeah.
was there. We visited there, so we've had an opportunity to meet several times, but this is the first time I've been able to get up to his shop.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your hospitality today.
Thank you.
Showing us around, and hopefully my viewers enjoy. I enjoy looking at other people's shops, so I'm hoping you guys will enjoy seeing some other shops too.
Yes.
And again, if you haven't already, go check out his channel. He's got some good stuff out there.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. We'll
And go-
talk to you guys later.
And go out and shop, build something cool.
There you go.